Welcome everybody, we're back for the GT Cup Open Championship. It is round 6 at Barcelona, the grand finale this weekend, and we're looking forward to this one. We've got a plethora of cars here looking to challenge. Of course, the story is Jan Larijsen. Can he take the title? But we've also got, certainly a very stiff battle ahead of us. Dirk Schouten, of course, also looking to try and claim it too. Also, we're welcoming the welcome return of Bashar Mardini as well as his teammate Christopher Zirkling. But we've had such an almighty season. It's been a long time since we've been back. Certainly, it feels like a long time nevertheless. Obviously, a couple of weeks in between, but we are here nonetheless. And Barcelona itself, so many different types of corners, a big challenge for the drivers, very stiff test to say the least, but we are here at Montemelo. My name is George Morgan. I'm bringing you this qualifying session alongside the one, the only Ian Silvestri. Ian, how are you doing, sir?
Very well, George. Thank you for that very kind introduction. This is the final qualifying session for GT Cup Open for 2022. A great field on the circuit, of course, with 26 cars in the GT Open category, 15 here in the GT Cup class, 41 GT cars here at the circuit for the final round. A few new entries. We'll get to those in just a moment. You've spoken of a couple of them. My personal favourite, great to see this, and I know I'm not the only one, but the Toyota Supra is back in the field. A lot of support for the Japanese marque with the Polish team and the Polish driver. We'll get a look at them in the moment. We just saw Florin Timcescu out on the circuit at the moment. Of course, they had a huge crash last time out at Monza. They were halfway back to Bucharest by the time we raced on Sunday, but they're back out on circuit, of course. Porsche dominating the GT Cup category, and Jan Larijsen, it is a cliche, we say it very often, but surely one hand on the trophy this weekend.
Do you think that tyre is still there, propped up against the steel barrier at Monza?
Our regular viewers will know exactly what you're referring to. Timcescu and Petian, they hit the wall hard at the exit of Lesmo 2. Debris on the circuit, including the right front wheel, which stayed on the side of the circuit for the rest of the day's afternoon, or the rest of the afternoon's racing.
It was quite a sight to behold, nevertheless, but great to see them back here in action. Of course, Florin Timcescu, the Romanian, out on track as well. Julian Darris, also great to see the Aston Martin 007, of course, representing Street Art. They, of course, have 007 as part of their GTOpen car as well, but Julian Darris representing them here in GT Cup. Great to have them, to say the least. Milan Delea as well, making his return as well to this championship. Great to see him in amongst the scrap too. Of course, we have plenty of drivers here taking part. Formula 4 driver throughout 2020, Milan Delea. And so we'll see how he can cut the mustard here in Porsche cars. But as we're now watching the cars make their way through, did get a chance to speak to the likes of John de Wilder, who is looking forward to stepping into this weekend. Understands the task that's before him. Of course, he's right in the mix in terms of the AM category side of things. See Jan Larijsen there flashing his lights. He's currently purple in the first sector, as you would expect. Florin Timcescu at this point currently sat in first, Juan Font in second, with John de Wilder in third. Nicholas van Dierendomp here too. Milan Delea there in P5. Lucas Valkra stepping into the car instead of his teammate Dirk Schouten, who's going to go for the second stint. Jan Larijsen improving mammothly in there in the second sector as well, as he heads into the final chicane.
Oh, with traffic.
Yeah, and that sees the Audi making its first appearance in GT Cup competition. Jan Larijsen, I don't think will appreciate the blockage heading through the final corner.
Will still go P1, surely. There he does. The championship on the provisional hole, the final sector. Early stages of the qualifying session. George, you just referred to his teammate. Q1 track racing with 4 cars this weekend, including that of the driver on your screen, Jan Larijsen, car 54. The young Dutch driver, Milan Delea from Formula Ford, won the junior category in world motorsport dating back to the 1960s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s. It still does exist, and it's been a great grounding for Milan Delea, who joins us for the championship final, GT Cup Open. Car 2 in the Porsche Cayman. It's a GT Cup trophy car. Young Milan Delea. He is young, only, 19, 20 years of age for the championship final. A 4-car attack for the Q1 track racing team. Leading the championship with the driver on your screen, Jan Larijsen, who is currently on pole position.
Yeah, absolutely right. Jan Larijsen, of course, looking to try and take the title. Of course, Van Dierendomp now second fastest, 51.277, nearly a whole second in behind that of Jan Larijsen. Of course, very, very quick is Jan Larijsen. And ventures back here once again. Scored pole position at Monza for Q2. He also scored Q2 in Hungary with a pole position. So 2 to his name so far. Would like to make it 3. Keeps going the way he's going. He certainly will do that. Purple in the first 2 sectors. And you firmly expect him to find more time in sector 3, of course. He did, you know, end up behind that of the House Motorsport Audi. As he now ventures down into the next chicane, RACC, before then tackling New Holland. And through it now is the Porsche around this final corner. As he does so, foot to the floor once again as he heads up towards the line. Can he improve yet again? This could be 49s. It certainly is a 49.348. He found over a whole second in that final sector.
Larijsen, a 49.348. Mohamed Fons, P2. And the first AM driver. Great to see Alex Fontana back on the grid. This is an interesting entry. The Swiss driver who has raced absolutely everything over his quite impressive career, and he goes to the top. Alex Fontana with a 47.856. What a career he has had. Great to have him in the field in car 66 for the championship final. GDL Racing here with a couple of cars, both 992 GT3 Cup cars, sideways on the exit. Just noting Jan Larijsen a moment ago, and we see it again there, controlling the wheel spin. Heavy fog on the circuit. It was in single digits this morning. We are expecting 27, 28 degrees Celsius and beautiful Spanish sunshine this afternoon, but the track starting to be rubbered in, and there is the wheel spin once again. They can't afford to do that too often, particularly with one eye on a 1-hour endurance race later this afternoon. Alex Fontana, P1 at the moment, and purple once again in the first sector, flashes the lights in the 66 GDL racing car. Up the hill.
So Alex Fontana, no stranger to big results. Blancpain Endurance Series since 2014, Silver Cup champion overall in sprint and endurance back in 2021 with 5 wins. And to mention a China GT4 champion as well with 4 wins there. Euro Formula Open champion also back in 2011 with 2 wins, 2 to his name. A bit of a tussle heading down into the Leclerc bend. So we can now see the cars make their way through. Lost a little bit of time in sector 2 there, Alex Fontana. As a result, I think, of the ongoing scrap. So we now see the cars make their way through the final portion of this circuit.
There is Bernd Schalbe behind the, if we can politely say, the gentleman racer who is actually sharing the Ost Motorsport GT Cup Trophy Audi with the Bathurst 12-hour winner, Christa Jons, who took victory for Audi at the Australian race, 1 decade ago in 2012. This is the Supra, the Japanese, the legendary car from Toyota, back on track, the flat 6. What a popular machine this has been in world motorsport over the past 3 decades. The GT4 Supra, Anthony Johnson behind the wheel of car 50.
He was actually class winner of the Golf 12 Hours back in 2016 and brings back the Supra as well. Great to see House Motorsport bring in a car to the GT Cup as well. Of course, we know Dino Steiner and Max Herfer who race in the GTOpen Championship. This time we do have Bernd Schreibel as well as Christa Jons, who the very first time they partnered together earlier this year, they actually won the first race that they competed together. So no doubt that they feel the confidence, certainly working together in the Thailand Super Series is where they took that win. They come here to the GT Cup competition here in Barcelona, and they're now looking to perform here as well. They currently find themselves 13th fastest as things stand in the Audi LMS. But we're now watching the cars now work their way through. Fontana still on top with Larijsen in second. Kwame Font in the pit lane as things stand, but 3rd fastest nonetheless, 2.6, just over 2.6 seconds behind that of Alex Fontana. Jan Larijsen's got a little bit of work to do, just over 1.3 seconds behind Fontana, but we still have 8 minutes and 40 seconds still to go. Bashar Mardini goes into 3rd place as well, partnering Christopher Zirkling, who we haven't seen in quite a while. Of course, the last time we saw Christopher Zirkling, we did see him back at Paul Ricard all that time ago. He's not competed since then. Of course, the first race he spent with us, he not only put the car on pole, but finished P2 in race 1, and then followed it up with a P1 in race 2.
Florin Timcescu back on track, the Romanian driver, currently in position 10. We just got a glimpse a moment ago of Milan Delat, the Dutchman. My mathematics for regular viewers is less than 4. I told you that Q1 track racing were here with forecast. They've actually got 6. Milan Delat for the final round. Of course, with the Belcar series wrapping up just a few weeks ago at Zolder, as we see Tincescu control the wheel spin nicely, heading into the top part of the circuit. Speaking of a Q1 track racing, John DeVille there. A very aggressive, strong race at Monza. Was not intimidated by the wet conditions. There is Tincescu, the Romanians, back with us for the GT Cup final. As Milan Delat, car 2, also for Q1 track racing that we just spoke of. He's pulled down into pit lane in car 2. John DeVille there at the moment. He's down in P8 on the grid. As we look at Bashar Mardini back with us as well. Fabulous field as we look towards 2023. Mardini currently in position 3. We'll see where he comes across the line. Can he improve? For the moment, the answer is no. A 1:49.936. Currently inside second row start for the 60-minute race later on this afternoon. Looks to have backed out of this lap ever so slightly. So the order is Alex Fontana, who heads the championship leader, Jan Lorison. Mardini on your screen, Juan Font, the Spaniard here in Spain. Nicolas van Dierendonk, Lucas Valgres, Stefano Zanini, John de Vilde back in P8. Laurent van der Velde, Tincescu P10. Julian Darras, car 007. Sharing the car, the Street Art Aston Martin with Jahid Faisal Karim, who is carrying an injury here this weekend. Anthony Jodson, the Supra making its debut for 2022. Milan Delat, Scheibel and Fabio Fabiani rounds out the field. Just over 6 minutes remaining. The final qualifying session, sorry, the penultimate, we've got another one tomorrow morning. The penultimate qualifying session of 2022. The Spaniard here in Spain, Juan Font, currently P4 on the grid.
Yeah, remember that gap was 1.3 seconds between him and Jan Lorison. Well, that's because Jan Lorison, you might have noticed now, it's gone out to 1.5, and the main reason for that, Jan Lorison had a time deleted on his previous run, track limits at turn 9. Of course, it can get very tricky when you head into that portion of the circuit, because that's the point where you start venturing down in towards Campsa Corner, and if you're too hard on the throttle, you can find yourself being sent well out wide. You don't want to go too wide though, because there is a gravel trap there, so you do want to be careful as we now watch the cars make their way down. Here's Juan Font now making his way in towards turn 1 at P5 at this moment in time, 2.8 seconds off the lead as he now heads out of Elf Curve in towards Renault Corner. Makes his way around this next right-hander now, and he'll then send it down through towards the next right, leading in towards Repsol Curve. After that, he's then got the seat, which will then lead him in towards Verth Curve as well. Lots of trying and testing corners here at Spain. We've seen it so many times. Of course, the high speed, low speed, and mid-speed cornering. See how ample it is, or perfect it is for winter testing. Certainly conditions here in October, so it could fool you and make you think it's the summer at this rate, as we're now watching Juan Font head through Verth Curve now. He'll make the ascent leading up through towards Campsa Corner as well. Keep his foot to the floor as he now flies through this next right-hander. Be very cautious as to where he puts the left tyres as he now takes the descent down through towards the Lakea bend. Opened up in recent years, of course. Work has been carried out here at Barcelona, very much so since when it opened in 1991. It was opened for the Olympic Games in 92, where it would hold the bike race. The start and the finish for that as well. And since then has been used as a premier motorsport venue, of course hosting the likes of Formula 1 and also the GT Cup Open. Is now watching Juan Font head through the final chicane now. Chicane RACC New Holland Corner coming up next, P5. Currently he's 6th, but improvements currently on the table for Juan Font as he now heads up towards the line. Where will this place him? Second fastest, ahead of Jan Lorison. A very good lap by AM driver Juan Font, ahead now of our current championship leader, Jan Lorison.
Of course, he is Spanish. We are here in Spain with 3 minutes 30 left on the clock. So Jan Lorison, we go back to the early part of our broadcast, and we said one hand on the championship trophy. Well, it's still the case, but the race win this afternoon, he'll have a fight on his hands. Jan Lorison currently P3, but it is Fontana on provisional pole position. Juan Font, who looks good, but he's about to be balked in traffic. Oh, wow. Bernd Scheibel getting in the way of not one, but two cars, doing his best out there. It's not a criticism. It is hard work here. It may look easy watching on live from home, but fighting with these GT cars around the Spanish circuit, Bernd Scheibel now pulls out of the way and also lets car 52, Laurent van der Velde, go through. Kwame Font still has time, 2 minutes 40 left on the clock. Font currently positioned to 1.5 seconds off pole position. Alex Fontana, who is parked down in pit lane, but at the moment also parked on provisional pole position. 2 minutes 30 in the penultimate qualifying session of the year. Alex Fontana happy with that, of course, racing in the Italian GT Championship for the past few seasons. George, as you alluded to, he has raced just about everything on and off-road. GT single-seaters in the past decade as well, and it looks as though he's confident. He's parked 66 on pole position.
Yeah, just imagine what he could do if he was here all season long. I tell you, there could have been a champion, certainly once again. I mean, tremendous stuff indeed. Of course, multiple champion in various means. Alex Fontana, but Font currently second, as we're now watching. The car belonging to Laurent van der Velde, currently 9th fastest. As things stand, he'll come across the line to commence yet another lap. Remains in 9th fastest too. John de Wilder in 8th. Of course, he's got a little bit of work to do as well. Kwame Font leading that AM category from that second place overall on track. Lucas Valkyrie, who's gone fairly unnoticed in this session. We haven't really seen much from him. Of course, partner in Dirk Schuiten, who were very accomplished in qualifying.
Sorry, George, a big moment there for Laurent van der Velde on the exit of turn 1 sideways. Well, the World Rallycross Championship will be held here in a couple of weeks, and Laurent van der Velde, that was a good audition for that event. A big moment, and that has effectively ruined this, his last lap. Van der Velde, it looks as though it will be P9 at best on the grid in the dying stages of qualifying 1 here this morning.
Yeah, it's going to be a last gasp here because we're now in the final minutes of qualifying. Kwame Font back out on track, though he is behind approximately just over 0.6 of a second in the first sector. Needs to put a little bit more into work, obviously, if he wants to try and close the gap on Alex Fontana, who looked very happy with the lap that he set prior. You saw him walking through the garage. All smiles with him. As we're now seeing Kwame Font now heading down in towards the Lakea bend. Again, that time just going outwards slightly. Jan Larijsen obviously will be looking to try and get himself back out on top as well. He's multiple times a race winner this season. Look to do exactly the same yet again. As we're now seeing Kwame Font now head down in towards the chicane RACC. With 15 seconds to go in this session. You never know if he's quick enough, he might be able to set another lap. We'll have to see how it goes as he crosses the line. As he does so, puts the foot down. Will he be able to beat the buzzer, so to speak? He'll be right on the nail. He does beat the buzzer, so he can go around for one more lap. The checkered flag has fallen here in this session. Kwame Font, at 1:49. He's got one last gasp here at a flying lap to try and tackle Alex Fontana.
At 1.4 seconds, George, it's what, mission impossible?
Never say never. That's all I can say.
What other cliches can we pull out of the bag? Alex Fontana, he's confident he will take pole position. Kwame Font with one flying lap. In fact, we're just getting word that Fontana has taken pole position.
Alex Fontana back to the GT Cup and on pole position. You must be happy.
Yeah, really happy. It was really good fun to drive these cars, and GDL Racing really knows how to prepare these Porsche Cups. So it was nice to be back after our first outing in Spa. This time around, my teammate Stefano Borghi couldn't make it on a very short notice, but I'm glad that we managed to be here.
And this afternoon you'll go for victory.
Well, we try. I mean, we are at the front, so we try to do our best. I have a few seconds penalty in the pit, but we try to make up for it. I mean, there are many good drivers in this series, many young talents that are trying to develop themselves. So I'm sure in the second stint, some of them will join as well, and it's going to be fun, hopefully.
Well done for now. All the best.
Alex Fontana scoring pole position, going solo with Stefano Borghi not joining him. We'll see how he gets on this afternoon when we go racing in the GT Cup Open.